All right, good evening, council. We have arrived at 5:30, so adoption of the agenda would be in order.
Move. Second.
Those in favor? Motion's carried. No delegations this evening. We have for approval the minutes of November 5th council meeting.
Move.
Second. All those in favor? Motion's carried. At page 13, we have our management report for receipt.
Move.
Second.
On receipt then, all those in favor? Motion's carried. The management report at page 13 just gives us an update on several items that we've been following up through staff. I'll just ask the CEO to speak to item 2, give an update on that.
That's the
ICT,
yeah. The ICT board did consider well, it was before the ICT board on Friday. They had their board meeting. I've been advised that the board has deferred the application until the February board meeting, and I've been given some direction to remove some aspects of the application that deal with hard and soft landscaping costs as part of the project. So we'll make those amendments and resubmit for the February board meeting.
Yeah, I believe it's February 20th.
February 20th?
All right. And just on that, it's not the end of the world that it's deferred because of the WED, or Western Economic Diversification funding applications, won't be able to make those until January, Feb. And if ICT, assuming they will approve stage 2, they have a 6-month time frame to get your matching funds. So actually, it kind of buys us a couple months.
Yes.
So is that the only issue with it, is some of the landscaping issues? Is
Yes.
that why they deferred it, or did they defer it because of that and there's some other issues as well?
I'm surmising just from previous conversations that it was partially with the additional, or not the additional costs, but the hard and soft landscaping costs around the building. Plus, our proposal was to get additional funding from the WED program, which has not yet been announced yet.
Okay.
Although we anticipate it will be announced, and the timing will work better in that.
Okay, fair enough.
Your worship,
Yes, sir.
just for council's sake and citizens, should this grant go through successfully, is there, at this point, is there a timeline about the end of events and what would happen from there? Or would that be appropriate to comment on that at this time?
Yeah, I think we've talked a bit about that before, but it certainly doesn't hurt to talk about it again.
The proposal would be that once we had our confirmed funding in place, both from ICT and our other source being Western Economic Diversification, if that proves to be successful, we would move then into detailed design. And again, detailed design, more consultation with the community, and with any luck, depending on when the funding is confirmed, either a fall start for construction or spring of 2016.
Thank you.
Councilor Swift?
And I was just wondering, if we're taking out some of the soft costs of landscaping, are we have the ability to add in some of the other pieces that weren't in the original proposal?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, one of the things we had to adjust was between soft and hard landscaping. We put more into hard landscaping and reduced the soft landscaping, but then they didn't like that either. So we basically take about $90,000 out of the budget that we don't necessarily be able to put back into anything else.
Yes.
And on a $1.6 million budget, it's not huge. Yes.
And just while we're on the topic, so that the public consultation would precede the detailed drawings. I know people like to have a say before it actually comes.
Well, we've received a significant amount of feedback from the last round of the open house we had, and we summarized that in the report application we provided ICT, but we've also kept all those comments that we would factor into moving towards detailed design. And somewhere through that process, we've heard a significant amount of feedback from people that are positive about the idea, And we've heard some that say everything from don't do anything to here's some ideas that we think could improve it. And it's a matter of, at some point, I believe we'll have to bring it back to council and say, okay, do we go with this concept or do you want to see some changes?
Yeah, we wouldn't be going back to square one,
No.
because of course the funding application is based on these approvals in principle that we've already given. So it would be more to look at what it actually would look like as it goes forward and get comments as we go along. But yeah, we wouldn't be saying, okay, well, now what do you want to do, public? It's, we've had to go through that kind of already. So. And don't forget, we've also worked closely with a bunch of stakeholders too.
Thank you for clarifying.
All right, so anything else on that? Seeing none, anything else on the management report? Good question, comments? If not, we'll move on to then the receipt of the regional district board meeting minutes, and what we've been doing, just for the benefit of new councillors, is receiving the minutes of the regional district, the hospital board, as well as the solid waste management board, just so that even though we do have representation of those boards, that those minutes and the results of those various meetings are at least recorded on our agenda. So we can receive all 4 sets. And any discussion on any of those?
We could ask one of our reps. But
Yeah.
Yes.
Or the alternates? Yeah. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Yeah, obviously the biggest thing that came out of all those meetings was the meeting of November 20th, where the solid waste budget was approved just after the election, and there's just been comment on that. And as we go forward to the meetings of that organization in the new year, we'll see where that goes. Okay, new business. Just wanting to have confirmation that yes, we will be having a meeting on December 17th. It wasn't previously scheduled, but we will be having one. So a motion to that effect is required.
Move it. Second.
And have we made, or will we be making arrangements for Councillor McKinnon to participate by technology?
We're working on it.
Yes.
We're going to try.
All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, so at page 33, we have a very long-winded typical banking resolution for the authorization of our corporate Visa cards, which is something we do shortly after our inaugural meeting. And we will do that every year, I assume, as required.
I'll move the recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to read it out? No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, you get all the money, you do it.
Any questions about that?
I just wanted to confirm with Richard 2 things. One is that the limit for the card is 35,000, so they can't all go and spend 35,000 one day and we're 105,000 in the hole.
Right.
And second, I asked you this before, and I don't know, I think you said it was around 50,000, but where's the line where council needs to approve for spending? It's above 35,000, I would have to assume.
The $35,000 is the cumulative amount of
Yeah.
all the cards that we have within the town. You're asking what is the
Like at some point, you got to
the
come back.
policy?
Yeah.
Don, what's the limit that we bring to council?
I believe it's 25,000. Everything over 25,000 we have to bring to council.
Okay.
Needless to say, that's much more than any one of the town credit cards, right?
Right. Okay, so it's not going to make any difference that this is 35,000, and you, like if you ever want to go and spend 35,000, you couldn't.
Not without coming.
No, without coming to council.
Yeah,
Correct.
in one item. Yes.
Yeah, and what tends to happen is that there's there's dozens of transactions per month.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not going to matter. I just thought maybe we should raise that limit up to 35, just to make it cohesive, but it doesn't seem to matter. So that's fine.
All right, councillors, Price.
Yeah, and do we pay it off every month?
Absolutely.
Good.
Pay as you go, that's our philosophy.
In fact, they don't even give you a choice when it's a corporate card. They just take it right out of your bank account. That's part of what you're authorizing here, is that they can just reach in and take the payment out on time.
Good. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Page 35, report from the Chief Election Officer to see the 2014 report of election results.
Move to see.
Second. In favor? Motion's carried. We're moving on now to page 37, and this is the planner's report on the acoustical standards. And he does have a PowerPoint, so we'll turn it over to our planner. And if anyone wants to move to the other side of the table, they can, or just turn around whenever you feel comfortable.
His escape.
First time I've heard people listen
And
to
then
this.
That's right. Press the
the oval button.
I just want to get back to the first slide.
Right, the oval button. Now do not press that button again.
Like that. Okay. Start with that. So outline for the presentation is just broken up into three parts. One is the context of where this report's, where it generated, so it landed on your desk tonight. Just a brief discussion on the acoustical standards themselves, and then the implementation. In terms of the context, where it came from, there's really two areas that converged to generate the report in front of you today. One is the official community plan. So I'll discuss that. I'll discuss sort of what we're doing in regards to the official community plan to date. And the other one is your 2012-2014 strategic plan. The official community plan, one of the fundamental principles of the official community plan is sustainability, and that gets into efficient use of land, and also another main focus is alternative transportation, pedestrian orientation, and transit-oriented design in relation to encouraging infill development within 400 meters of transit routes, existing transit routes, which is the walking distance. Also, part of sustainability, of course, is livability. So in terms of the new housing that is coming on, that it be highly livable. And the result is that buildings are getting closer to the street, and sound mitigation is being provided to ensure that we don't have intrusion of traffic noise, into residential units. So these are secured through rezoning negotiations, and to date what's happened is the developer has contacted the acoustical engineer and commissioned a site-specific sound or acoustical study, and our understanding is those run anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000, and that implementation of that is secured through restricted covenant. The strategic plan has a number of goals and then action items under those goals. The two pertinent ones is reduce application processing time. So the action item under that was we established application processing timeline targets and for rezonings, those are 6 to 8 months. Another goal was a high standard of customer service. Action items under that was to assist applicants through the process and develop clear application processes. And that ended up in a 2014 planning department project of contracting with an acoustical engineer to create a standardized method of getting at these mitigation measures for residential development along our arterial and major collector roads. So the idea would be that this foregoes the need for custom individual reports. In the report before you is the Wakefield report. The term acoustical standards is a little bit misleading. Really what this does is it provides a standardized methodology or formula to determine the noise control measures necessary to meet Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation interior noise exposure guidelines. And going off page is a large number of inputs in these. And so when we took a look at those inputs, it's still seemed to be a bit scary and cumbersome, so took a look at our existing data, and our existing data is primarily in our 2011 traffic study that Boulevard did. We had a number of traffic counts done at key locations. And then from those, we did extrapolation and assumptions. So extrapolation, I mean that if we had one traffic count on a road, like Anderton, we assume that the entire road has that number of average daily trips, that number, that speed limit or speed use. And I believe there's one road where we don't have any data, but we'll be taking a look at a comparable road that we do have data, and it's just assuming that they're the same. So really what we're doing is trying to tick off the items that an applicant has to either contact us or get custom traffic study data for. So traffic volumes, those are being mapped, average speeds are also being mapped, type of traffic, road grades, which have been mapped and they're included in your report, along with the determination based on distances from centerline roads of all those properties that could have to provide sound mitigation. So really what it leaves off is some basic information that a developer would have to provide in terms of proximity to intersections and setback of buildings from the front property line and building orientation. So this is an example of one of the maps that was generated or being generated. So this shows all the properties that are within that potential sound mitigation corridor. And then it provides, through the color coding, it provides a determination of slope. So what is 4%, what is 2%, under 2%. We simply use an existing contour map for the entire town. So it's rough, but it does get at the heart of the issue. The next steps really will be to create an online calculator. So this is very much like a parking calculator we've already created and the affordable housing calculator. So it'll be on our website. It's essentially a spreadsheet where the user inputs data. So in this case, the user would input things like the address of the property, the orientation of the building, distance from the intersection. It would generate, based on the data that we're taking from our existing studies, it would generate whether or not sound mitigation is needed, primarily in the form of windows, and what standard that would need. We find this is a very good process because it not only reduces the developer time and costs, but it also reduces the town's processing time and cost because they're able to use this, print it out, and then submit it with their application, and then we know how that calculation has been done. It's very easy for us to check. With that, if there's any questions?
Any questions for the planner? Yes, Councilor Place.
And this is great, and well done. In the downtown, I know there's people who hope that we will get a bit more life back and perhaps have some bands at the lawn and wherever. Will that be factored in? Is that dealing with the road noise would deal with that sound, or is that there's some areas in the downtown that we would build in an extra?
We did address contact the person specifically on that, and the sound engineer, and there's no way to do that unless you actually go with specific measurements. But what was built into the methodology is amplification of corner in commercial areas. The idea that you've got buildings close to each other and you get a general amplification. So we try to build it in that way as a proxy.
It will help anyway.
Yes.
Councilor Cameron?
Any idea how much this is going to cost to implement when you go to build your building and all of a sudden you have to do this? What's that going to cost? I mean, because really if we're trying to be a little more affordable with our building, and then we're just adding costs. And, you know, for me, I mean, I don't think I'm the smartest guy in town, but I can look out the window and go, gee, there's a busy street there. I bet this is going to be noisier than the one over there. Just wondering what, you know, is it a nominal cost, or are we, what are we doing here?
So we did contact local building suppliers. The information that we got back was, except for the highest category, it will be a nominal cost. The primary cost factor is whether or not they can use their existing window boxes. They use their existing window boxes, and it's just a matter of the window pane separation, or it's a matter of they can also put film on the inside of those windows, and that provides that sound transmission limitation. But that's a very nominal cost. Once you go up to the higher category, that would be commercial windows, and that category we're anticipating only getting triggered in regards to seaplane noise, and we would assume that those, given the view potential, that those developments probably are going to go to customized windows, commercial grade windows already. And so again, we're anticipating there won't be an uptick in costs.
So would seaplane noise be basically for just down along the very,
Yes.
that wouldn't make its way back to, say, the Main Street here?
No, in the report, the proposed distance of 700 meters would bring it up to Comox Avenue. So we recalculated that because we really felt that we have the flats, we have the fill area, we have topography with the rising slope, and then we'll have intervening buildings. So then we culled that back to anything on Beaufort South. So there's a small area shown on the map in the report.
Go ahead, Councilor Swift.
And this is only triggered in the rezoning application?
Correct.
Yeah, and multi-unit, I mean.
Would be triggered in rezoning applications for residential. It could be mixed-use residential. It could be, for example, even on Pritchard Road, where we're anticipating we currently have a rezoning application for single-family subdivision. We would also get triggered in that area. Not really anticipating a large issue there because we've already got a 12-meter covenant for Pritchard Road Greenway. Road that is going to have a major impact. And it would also get triggered if council accepts the recommendation on the next report, which is the downtown levy as one of the minimum factors for tax exemption, and that would just be automatic required. So for 3 stories or 4-story buildings. So even if there's no rezoning to get a 3-story building, if they want the tax exemption, they would have to apply the sound mitigation.
All right. The question I had related to floodplains. The maps that show the typical takeoff, and we're really talking about takeoffs being the most noisy, shows those planes by and large taking off in a direction directly away from the town. And my experience going back a number of years when I was on the floatplane attraction committee when we were trying to get the service established here was that the noise from those floatplanes typically is on takeoff and it's at right angles to the direction of takeoff. In other words, the noise would go parallel to the shore, not back. And that's perhaps a lot different in our harbor than it might be, say, in Victoria Harbor, where I noticed the consultants made reference to that. The other thing, as you pointed out, we're only talking about 2 takeoffs per day, and not at the night time. Of course, they don't fly at night. So I know that we have not really had any complaints at all from existing residents in terms of noise, and I understand the concern to be proactive, but I was somewhat intrigued by your suggestion in the report that if council doesn't wish to take that into account, they could exclude those requirements for mitigation of floodplain noise. At the present time, I don't think it's an issue. I suppose over time it may increase, but I don't think we're ever going to be talking about the nature of floodplain activity that a city of Victoria or Vancouver would have, or Nanaimo for that matter. So anyway, that's my sense of it. I don't think we should be discouraging development, and certainly shouldn't be discouraging floodplains. And I'm just a little concerned about the impact of this report on those 2 aspects. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would concur with you on the departure of the planes, because being out in the harbor, many times they do depart parallel to the beach. And I would not want to see this perhaps stall any development with using the floatplanes. I think that's a great service that we have, and to put any roadblocks up with that, I don't think would benefit us.
I think I would just have a concern, and you're quite right, there is 2 trips out a day, and so it's minimal. It's a great service, and I could see that one day it could expand, and I'd hate to see that expansion of that service is stalled by having more and more residences down there who say 2 planes are fine, but if you're going to do 6, 5, 6, 7, we're definitely going to protest it. And the buildings we put up will be there 50, 60, 70 years. And they're probably there after floatplanes stop altogether. Who knows the future of floatplanes? But I just have that concern that it's been great that no one's complained, and I certainly expected it initially. But if we've got a more active service, which could come with more people finding out how convenient it is, and you only need to have higher ferry costs to push more people onto it, we could see a demand for more floatplanes.
So we could always add that at a future date if that becomes an issue.
Well, I guess what you're trying to do is be proactive with respect to construction, and I suppose if the Edgewater property was to be developed, at this time, our planner would, if it's a rezoning, in all likelihood require an acoustics report. What this report would do is still require that, but not necessarily take into account floatplane noise as an issue. My points, I guess, that I was raising is that the direction of takeoff is directly away from, other than unusual weather patterns, directly away from the town. The noise from a floatplane is at out the wings, in the direction of the wings. It's not backwards, it's not forwards. The noise is there. So unless the plane is taking off, parallel to the shore, which generally doesn't, then that's why we're probably not getting those complaints. The existing units down there, of course, may complain anyway, but there's not much you can do. Well, you can't retrofit to do better windows and whatnot. So anyway, that's, I guess, the question at this particular juncture when we know that there could be a development down there at some point, and given the current level of floatplane service, whether we want to make that an issue. Yep.
So is it time to make a motion?
It could be. Unless there's any other questions? No? Go ahead.
I'll make that we move the recommendation that we remove the floatplane piece.
I'll second that.
Okay, so the wording on that, I believe, is provided by staff. It says the motion, but excluding the requirement for mitigation of floatplane noise.
Perfect.
That's the motion.
That's the motion.
All right. Any further discussion? Yes?
And just to clarify the point you raised, that the planner still has the ability, should we ever have the good fortune to have a hotel complex down on the waterfront, the planner would still have the ability to require that the acoustics are dealt with, even if we take it out of the calculation.
I'll let the planner address that.
It would be council's decision. So if there's a rezoning application, then we would, what we would do in the current case is we would look at road noise. So the road noise would be limited to Wilcox itself. And if council, and that's what we would direct the applicant to do at the time of application, and to run the calculations based on that. And when it came up to before council wished to provide additional direction to staff, i.e. to have either a separate sound report done or some other kind of increased mitigation. They would then provide it to staff at that time, and then we'd go back to the applicant and negotiate with the applicant.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. So any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you, Mr. Planner. All right, so the companion piece to this is to amend our tax exemption bylaw, and the report to that effect has been provided at page 63. So there's a couple of motions coming out of that, or 3 actually, so we could proceed with that.
Okay, I'd move first recommendation 1.
The first reading, the amendment bylaw.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried.
I'll move the second recommendation as well.
So that's basically referencing back to the objectives and policies of the community charter and the financial plan. The seconder?
Second.
All those in favor? Motion's carried.
And I'll move second and third reading as well.
Thank you.
And also,
Moved and seconded for second and third reading. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. All right, so that's that part of it. And moving along to page 91. So this is the report from staff following up on the expansion of permitted uses within the light industrial zone in the vicinity of Shamrock and Guthrie. There's a number of recommendations there, and certainly the planner is available for any questions of a general nature. Yes, Councillor Kidd.
Just in regards to this rezoning application, I wondered if the planning department felt at any time in looking at it, whether this might compromise our downtown revitalization plans with the change in rezoning here. Did that ever come up in discussion?
No, we don't foresee that. This is on our arterial. The downtown's much more pedestrian oriented in terms of as a destination commercial center. And in terms of neighborhoods, surrounding neighborhoods, that it is sufficiently distance that if you were just going to a neighborhood center and you were around the downtown, that you would still use the downtown center. The character of the development was a little different. I mean, it'll be on a very small scale, similar to Tin Town versus downtown Port.
Any other questions? So there's a number of recommendations, not all related to the light industrial zone. There's a couple of housekeeping items as well. We'll have to deal with those one at a time. And staff have also pointed out in their report about the rezoning application. We're dealing with 4 properties in this time. And up to this point, council or the staff have been working on the basis that this would not be a rezoning application that would require payment of applicable fees. So by the owners of those properties, unless you wanted to change. And if you wanted to have it proceed on that basis, there is wording to that effect on page 92 in terms of recommendation number 1. As you may recall, for those who were here at previous council, this was an overall looking at this whole area, and now it's been narrowed down to 4 properties.
And I guess it's a question through you to the planner. Would we normally, for something this small, be looking at an application for 4 properties?
Staff?
Sorry, would we look at a...
A formal application going in and that
And that, yeah,
entails
pays
application
the
fees
fees.
for covering
Yeah.
the cost of
Yes.
doing it, yes.
Yes.
And if we went that course, what would be the outcome? I guess if we've already done the process, would people could then choose whether they want to go ahead or...
Yeah, in this situation, if the 4 properties were to submit a joint application, then the fee would be reduced. The processing time would definitely be within our time frame because we've done a lot of the work already.
What are the application fees? Pardon? You know off the top?
No, I don't know. I believe they might be anywhere between, depending on the category, between $2,000 to $5,000. Probably closer to the $5,000.
But it's no different than if anybody else came in looking for a rezoning, they'd have to pay. So I don't see why these guys should get off without having to pay.
So what you were saying, CEO, is that if all 4 applicants proceed with a joint application, they just pay 1 fee? Would that be the case?
So we treat it that way, wouldn't we?
Yes.
Just 1 application? Yeah.
So they could share it.
So they,
Yeah.
So if council wanted to correct that, the motion, instead of what's printed on page 91, item 1 would be changed to the motion that's at the bottom of page 92.
okay, so I'll move the recommendation on the bottom of page 92.
Second that.
That is that staff be directed to advise the owners of these properties that the submission of rezoning application applicable fees is required for council consideration. Rezoning to a new commercial industrial zone. All right, any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried. The second one is to remove industrial fueling installations of permitted use within that zone.
I'll move that.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried.
Move recommendation 3.
Okay, and this is to amend the personal service establishment zoning amendment to include pet grooming.
I'll second that.
Seconded. And again, that's just for this particular zoning classification, not for all zones. All in favor? Motion's carried. And finally, that staff be directed to prepare for council consideration bylaw to amend the zoning for 425 Anderson Road to limit permitted uses to public utilities.
Move.
Second.
Second, all those in favor? Motion's carried. All right, does that give you sufficient direction, staff? Okay. All right, thank you for bringing that forward in a timely fashion. Page 101, we have the Chimo Gymnastics Club license agreement renewal. And recommendations are to renew, and that on that authorization, that agreement will be signed by the CAO.
Move that.
Second.
Anything else you want to add, CAO, to your report?
Not on the Chimo agreement.
Okay. All right, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, and then we have correspondence at page 119. That's a letter from the president of UBCM just saying here's some money for you for the gas tax agreement. So,
Move receipt.
so we see that, I'm sure we'll find that. Put it in the bank account.
We don't want this money, do we?
All those in favor? Motion's carried.
I do have a question.
Yes, sir?
Just to refresh my memory, these, do they come once a year, twice a year?
Director of Finance can answer.
Twice a year, so you can see we're just under 600,000 a year, although they give us some interest that pushed us over 300. So 2 times 300 is 600, and the agreement is 5 years. So there's $3 million, and again, we have to spend it on green initiatives, right? Cleaner air, cleaner water, reduced greenhouse gases. And there are specific project categories and reporting requirements, depending on the nature of what we're doing with the money. Most of our money in recent years has been spent adding sidewalks and trailways, and that's an eligible category because it's a method of transportation that doesn't create greenhouse gases when people are transiting.
And we have been in our budget process, and council will see that unfold in the new year when we look at our 5-year capital plan in particular to see where we've been allocating those funds. And then the categories for gas tax will be broadening, but we haven't received details on that yet.
And so part of the rationale on why we got into doing sidewalks and trailways was we were redoing a lot of roadways anyway, and we were using general revenue for the sidewalk piece. This was a way for us to get more roadway and more of that work done and use gas tax to do the sidewalk piece with it. So it fit in pretty nicely, and that's why we've been able to keep up with our infrastructure pretty well.
All right, CEO.
Just to back up for a second on one item to dealing with the tax exemption bylaw on page 68. If I could turn your attention to that. Okay, you could share mine. With the acoustical standards report that council adopted, with the exception of the floatplane section, what I assumed then is that section B number 3 that talks about the area shown crosshatched on Schedule E attached to form part of this bylaw, inclusion of seaplane noise, was deleted from this bylaw when you read it the first and second time.
Yes, that would be.
Just so that it's understood.
Consequential
Yeah,
yes.
that was wiped out the moment that you passed that first resolution, so
Right.
just wanted to clarify that first.
I think that's what we intended.
Yeah.
No disagreement with that. We also thank you for.
And it could be revisited in the future.
Yeah, well, yes. All right, so that brings us to no late items, no delegations, reports from members of council. I'll start since we met, well, council met on the 5th of November. I'll just report on a few things. Attended a lunch that was part of the Toast Comox Valley event here back in early November. Minister of Justice Parliamentary Secretary John Yap was here to speak regarding the new liquor licensing requirements. Attended a veterans dinner at the Legion, and also the candlelight service from Rembrandt's Day going back. Also participated in a flag raising of the Métis National Council in honor of National Métis Day. And then following the election, I was down to Victoria to participate with CVEDS in their Shellfish Festival reception in Victoria. Saw a number of cabinet ministers in attendance, and promotion of that event coming in June of next year. Comox Valley Art Gallery had their 40th anniversary. I attended that. And also a fundraiser for the Larch Society put on by a group called Corporate Connections. Participated along with the mayor's dog in the downtown Courtney Christmas parade, and she really liked the donkeys. Comox BIA AGM was held the 24th of November, and a new president's been installed, President Richard DeLuca, and a new board as well. Mayor's Golf Tournament organizing committee, hosted a reception for all elected officials. Attended that with a number of other councillors here and from other communities. And also attended the Comox Valley Baseball Association AGM while you guys were at the Lauren Hotel open house. Christmas tree lighting was held last Friday, firefighters banquet on Saturday, and 19 Wing Base Chapel had their annual carols and lessons service. It was a nice event on the afternoon of Sunday. Missed the first half of the Grey Cup, but it was well worth attending. And of course, we all attended the inaugural meeting. So that's my report. So Margaret, if you would like to report anything since you've been sworn in, I don't know, the last couple of days.
With my week?
Yes.
Prior to, I attended the Northeast Comox Neighborhood Stormwater Management
Yeah.
Plan, so that was an interesting beginning. Also, the open house at the Lorne Hotel, which was an interesting one also. Met with Councillor McKinnon. Thank you very much, by the way, Hugh. He kindly outlined all the responsibilities and services of our library, which brought me up to speed very quickly. It was great. Also met with the Destair seniors today. Went over and introduced myself, and that was really good. And also to the library. Also, too, I attended the Comox BIA meeting, which was. Can I make a comment? I was so impressed with the enthusiasm in that group. It felt good. It was excellent. And also, of course, the Mayor's Golf Wine and Cheese. And I think that's what I've done so far.
Excellent. Busy. Councillor McKinnon.
Yes, attended on November 18th, the Stormwater Management meeting, and I think it highlighted to us that a recommendation that we've expressed to town staff that open house meetings like that should have an introductory portion for citizens that come and with some comments at some point in the format, and that would be more helpful rather than that. And I think we'd all agree after that meeting that might have been better served, that being the case. On November 20th, met with the mayor about appointments for coming up. Also attended the the Comox First Nations Addiction Awareness Walk, starting down at Comox First Nations. Attended the Community Justice Center AGM before I turned the portfolio over to Councillor Arnott back again. November 21st, the Maple Lake Fundraiser Committee meeting in Cumberland, which I'm the rep from council. November 22nd, my last Vancouver Island Regional Library Board meeting before I turn it over to the reins to Councillor Grant. On November 24th, along with Councillor Grant and our mayor and Councillor Arnott, attended the BIA AGM meeting, an exciting group to be working with. Looking forward to that. Was at the Lorne House open house with the Lorne Hotel Site Development open house. And I thought in that format where they had some introductory comments 2 times throughout the evening, that was helpful for some to get some facts out and versus fiction. We have a ways to go there, but I thought that was helpful, as did the developers as well. November 27th was involved with the decorating the BIA Christmas tree at the Coastal Wineries way up in Black Creek. The Christmas tree, the BIA Christmas tree has business cards of all the businesses in Comox on it, and organized by our very capable Executive Director, Mary Ruth Harris. November 28th, met with Councillor Grant, already touched on there, about the Vancouver Island Regional Library portfolio. Attended the elected officials' mayor golf reception. That same day, November 29th, the Town of Comox Firefighters Christmas dinner, along with some other councillors and the mayor. Congratulations to the award winners there and to all the volunteer staff and full-time staff of their fire department. I know we're all proud of that. November 30th, the Christmas Philburg craft sale and Christmas choir sing-along at the Philburg was well attended, beautiful weather. And finally, I did attend the swearing-in ceremony of new councillors, I think on Monday, although the drugs worked very well. Thank you, that's my report.
Councillor Bryce?
Yes, so I attended the Veterans Dinner at the Legion with my father, which was great. I attended the Comox Strathcona Regional District Hospital Board, Comox Archives and Museums Society meeting, and a mixer to meet the volunteers and staff. We actually have 3 part-time staff now. I attended the Lawn Hotel open house, and I'm now the president of AVICC, which is our island-wide and coastal communities association, of which I've been an executive member for many years, and where we are on the forefront of issues that come to this table of the 25% reduced natural gas rate and more affordable BC ferries. And I'm the first Comox councillor to serve as AVICC president. And as AVICC president, I'm also on UBCM. So last week I spent 2 days in Vancouver on the executive there, which was fascinating. And also the Firefighters Christmas dinner. And I think that's it.
Congratulations on your presidency.
Thank you.
Councillor Swift?
Okay, I attended the Remembrance Day candlelight ceremony just prior to the Remembrance Day parade the next day, which was lovely. I have also attended the Northeast Stormwater Management event, and I agree with the comments made that it would be good to have a presentation there. I attended the Philburg board meeting and the Mayor's Golf Tournament meeting groups, and the Lauren Hotel open house, and the firefighters dinner, which was great to see the firefighters on their uniforms, and their slideshow was really informative, so that was great. And of course the inauguration.
Thank you. Councillor Arnott?
Yeah, thanks. Well, I did attend the BIA AGM Christmas tree lighting, the Lauren open house, and as well the Mayor's Golf Tournament meet and greet.
Excellent.
I did virtually what everybody's doing, but I'm just wondering why do we go through this? Why do we do this? like to me, this should be a report back, so that if you attend the BIA and there's something relevant to report from that, to me that's what this time is for. I mean, it's really nice, but I don't really care that you went to tea with somebody, that you did this or you did that. Like I want to be able to keep up with what the different boards are doing, and I think that's what this is meant to do. So I just throw that out as comment.
All right, well, we'll try to make it a little more meaningful.
Yeah.
Absolutely. As we go. All right, so nothing further before the agenda to deal with. Any questions from the media at this time? All right, there's nobody here from the public, so we'll just have a motion to adjourn.
So,
Second.
All in favor?